Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blank and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC television podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Aaron. How's everybody doing out there in the radio world? I haven't been feeling too good these past couple days. I've been a little sick here lately, so I'm going to really try to keep it low energy today as we move forward with our podcast. But let's go ahead. We're going to talk about quite a few things today. We're going to do streaming breakdown. We're going to talk about Amazon Prime Video. And then we're going to talk about some of the movies and TV shows you can see on there. I'm going to read out an article to you all. And then segment 2, of course, we got Animation Nation. We're going to talk about 2 animated shows then. But just stick around. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, segment 1, like I said, I'm going to do Amazon Prime Video. I'm going to go ahead and read out to you this article from Business Insider, which talks about 17 of the most critically acclaimed Amazon Prime original shows on the service. So, it's a bunch of different shows that either have gotten awards of some kind or are being talked about. I know a couple of them, and so when we get to them, I'm going to talk about them. So the first one up is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. This is a very fun show. It's 1950s period drama which follows a recently divorced housewife, Miriam Midge Maisel, on her journey to become a professional comedian in New York City, navigating Manhattan's iconic nightlife and the shifting tides of American culture. Really fun show. It has amazing editing. Some of the sound design in the show is so iconic and just amazing. Everything seems to flow and the scenes really come together because everybody's working so hard. There's just a rhythm to most of the scenes, and it's really amazing when they try to actually go into it. And so I highly recommend people go check out this show right here. It's funny. It's funnier than you think it would be, because I was like, okay, 1950s, it's about a comedian, so I bet it has to be funny. And it's one of the funniest shows I've seen in recent days. The jokes, the writing, everything about it is just top notch. And so if you want, go give it a look. I highly recommend it. The next show is one that I'm not familiar with. It's called Homecoming. Homecoming is a transitional support center, is a mysterious government facility that helps military veterans return to civilian life. Julia Roberts stars as Heidi Bergman, a social worker who spent 4 years working at the facility but struggles to remember her time there. The story leaps between 2018 and 2022 as Heidi starts to recall her time at Homecoming and the facility's true purpose. Oh, so it's kind of like this sci-fi thriller where she's trying to remember everything that happened there, and this place seems to be doing bad undercover experiments and things like that. So I haven't seen it, but based on that description, I might go give it a watch and go check it out. It sounds like something I'd be interested in, learning about the different things that'll happen as it goes on. I have no idea how to say this one. Bosch? Titus Williver? Yeah, Titus Williver stars as Los Angeles detective Harry Bosch, and this procedural police drama inspired by the novels of best-selling author Michael Connelly. Okay. So it's just another police drama. That's fun. You can go check that out if you'd like. Fleabag. This is a very interesting one. The cover art for this one looks amazing. It's a woman with the makeup running down her face with the sun creating sunspots over her head, and the title is just big in the bottom corner. Very well done. So let's see. Fleabag is the name of a woman at the center of the British dark comedy set in London. She speaks directly to the audience with an unrelenting sarcasm as she struggles to keep her cafe open and stop the people around her from driving her insane. Ooh, that's fun. Lead actress and writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge originally created the character for a 10-minute stand-up performance and adapted Fleabag into a one-woman stage performance years before the TV show debuted in 2016. Oh my goodness, so that seems like a lot of work put into that. A 10-minute stand-up performance, then a full one-woman performance. That's amazing. So the fact that it's now a TV show, that's a lot of dedication. So I'm willing to go check it out. That sounds fun. I like dark comedy, and I like the idea of it being set in London, so I gotta go check that out. Alright, this one's called Mozart in the Jungle. It's a Prime original. Well, I think all of these are. The show offers a peek into the modern world of classical music through the eyes of oboist Hayley Rutledge, played by Lola Kirk. The drama follows Hayley as she aspires to join the New York Symphony Orchestra, led by charismatic conductor Rodrigo de Souza, played by Gail Garcia Bernal, and the president Gloria Windsor, played by Bernadette Peters. Mozart in the Jungle has been praised for its light comedic tone, musical performances, and the efforts to highlight the work of female composers. The series ran for 4 seasons on Prime Video before coming to an end in 2018. That's amazing. Okay, that sounds really fun. So we follow Hayley Rutledge on her journey to become a part of the New York Symphony with this charismatic leader, and then the president is Bernadette Peters. So that seems like a fun thing to go check out. If it's praised for its light comedy, then I bet it's going to be something to giggle at and to watch and have fun with. And I bet the music is amazing if it's based around music. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be great. Alright, next up is The Boys. So The Boys, I know a little bit about this one. It's kind of like a gritty comic book series. So let's go ahead and read the description here. The Boys is a superhero series based on the comic book franchise created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The show offers a sardonic twist on the superhero genre, including viewers to a world where the corporate-sponsored heroes oppress everyday citizens. The Boys are a team of vigilantes working to keep tabs on the worst heroes and keep them in check by whatever means necessary. Carl Urban stars as the Boys' leader, former CIA operative Billy Butcher, while Jack Quaid plays Hugh Campbell, an average guy who finds himself recruited by Butcher when his girlfriend dies in a superhero-related accident. So it's this really gritty superhero world where people pay superheroes to be sponsored and to take care of the citizens and kind of keep them in line and make sure that they know that they're small and ordinary people and that there's people bigger than them, basically. And The Boys is this vigilante team of people coming together to try to stop all of these heroes from taking these people down. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun. I'm thinking as I'm going along here, I'm not going to read every single show, but I'm going to read out a couple more as we go. Ooh, this one looks fun. It's called Undone, and it's a young woman named Alma learns that she can manipulate time in reality after nearly dying in a car crash. When she begins seeing visions of her dead father, Alma starts using her powers to uncover the circumstances surrounding his death. Ooh. Undone uses a mix of live-action motion capture and rotoscope animation to deliver dazzling visuals and add mystique to a time-bending story. That sounds really fun and interesting. It's already been ordered for a second season, and it originally came out in September of 2019, but I think I'm going to go check that out. It looks so pretty in the cover art, and I love the idea of somebody learning they can manipulate time after accidents. It's like that classic cliche of, they fell in a vat of acid and now they can fly type thing. So that's pretty fun. There's another show here called Upload, and it's set in the not-too-distant future of 2033, where humans have developed an ability to upload their personality into a virtual afterlife when they die. Robbie Arnell stars as Nathan, a young computer programmer who finds himself stuck in one of these virtual worlds after a car crash leaves him on the brink of death. With the help of customer service rep Nora, Andy Allo, Nathan works to adjust to his new digital form. But the pair discover that the car crash that led to his upload may not have been an accident. Ooh. I've seen quite a few commercials about this show, and it debuted in May 2020. It looks so fun. It looks interesting. They really take a spin on this new idea of what reality could be heading towards. And it's satirical, and it's funny, and it's played for laughs, but on a lot of levels, it's kind of like dark satire where we're making fun of this idea, but this could very well be the future. And so to be able to sit here and watch a show talk about that idea, make fun of it, play around with it, it seems very fun. And I highly recommend that people go check it out. I'm going to go watch it soon myself because I think it'd be very interesting to see for sure. All right. Now we're going to talk about The Expanse. This science fiction series is based on the book franchise of the same name created by James S.A. Corey. In the distant future, humanity has colonized the solar system, building a civilization that spans multiple planets and moons. 3 major factions, the United Nations of Earth, the Congressional Republic on Mars, and the Outer Planets Alliance, are at the brink of war. The Expanse focuses on a crew of vigilantes hailing from different parts of the solar system as they try to stop a conspiracy that threatens to tear apart the delicate peace between their universe's political powers. That sounds really intense. The cover art looks dramatic and amazing. It's this 3 people wearing these really intense spacesuits with lights standing on a dark planet with just rocks surrounding them and ships flying past. It's very intense and dramatic, and I'm going to put that on my next science fiction series watch. I really like Farscape, and we're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode, but this looks especially interesting, so that might want to go give that a watch. Seems very cool. The Man in High Castle is a very talked about show. The Man in High Castle explores an alternate timeline where Nazi Germany and Japan prevailed over the Allied powers in World War II and conquered the world. The series follows multiple characters living in this alternate timeline as they gradually discover that there are other timelines where the Axis was defeated. The Man in High Castle is based on Philip K. Dick's award-winning novel and executive produced by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott. That's really fun. And Frank Spotnitz, who did X-Files. Ridley Scott. Wow. Okay. I've never actually watched this show, and I've never actually gotten into it or tried to read much into it, but that actually seemed real fun to think about. Discovering multiple that scenario of everything worst case possible, and then boom, there's other timelines. You can just go and explore that. That's so fun to think about. Here's The Tick, which is a Prime original. Like the comic book character created by Ben Edlund, The Tick offers a comedic parody of the superhero genre with an indestructible hero who is as silly as he is strong. The Tick can't recall his past before becoming a superhero, but little else matters to him besides his daily heroics. Together with his sidekick and best friend Arthur Everest, The Tick sets out to stop the evil wherever it may surface in his hometown, the city. So, this show was very, very funny. It's very parody and very making fun of itself type comedy. So it's uses very bold imagery and bold colors. They try to make it really stand out to you. And it's just making fun of a lot of those superhero genres where they seem to take themselves quite seriously, sometimes even too seriously. So that's some of the main ones that we can look at and talk about here. As we look at Amazon Prime. Looking over at the streaming service itself, though, I have to say I really like the interface for it. It's quite interesting, to say the least. It's one of the cleaner ones I've seen because it has categories at the top for you, as well as different movies or movies they think you'll like, TV shows they think you'll like, originals. They have top-rated movies out right now. And not even to mention some of the movies you can watch. You can watch Knives Out, which is a really great movie I recommend everybody go check out. You can watch Troop Zero, which I haven't seen, but I've seen the commercial for it. And Troop Zero looks amazing and interesting. It's about not the first ever Girl Scout troop, or maybe it is. I think it's just about an old Girl Scout troop. It might be about the first one. Hang on, I can't click on it. Please. It's not working. Well, it looks really good, and I know it looks like it'll be really fun to watch, and so I recommend you go check that out as well. But there's just a lot on here that you might not realize is on here. You could watch Red, which is that movie with Oh my goodness, what is his name? Oh, very bald man. Come on, Bruce Willis. That's what it is. It has Bruce Willis. I also think it has John Malkovich. It does. It has John Malkovich and Morgan Freeman and Helen Mirren. What an all-star cast when you really think about that. But the streaming service offers a lot for people to come in and be able to really enjoy. And like I said, I think it's one of the better laid out streaming services with everything they have kind of detailed and progressed. So I recommend going and check out all the TV shows we talked about. Just go give it a look. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video then. They have a lot of things to offer that you might not even remember or know about. So highly recommend you go check it out. We are getting ready to go into our break, and I hope everybody sticks around for segment 2. We're going to talk about Animation Nation, where we're going to talk about One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, and make sure you stick around at the end for when I talk about some other shows that I've talked about 2 of them before, and one of them's a new show, but season 3 is coming out soon. I think everybody should really hear about it, but get ready for that break, and I'll see you all after you get back. Bye.
Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome back from that break. Let's go ahead and dive into Animation Nation. First of all, we're going to talk about One Punch Man, which is a really fun anime you can go watch over on Hulu. And I'll read out the plot for you first, and then I'll talk about it a little bit on its own. So, on a supercontinent Earth, powerful monsters and villains have been wreaking havoc in the cities. In response, millionaire Agoni creates the Hero Association, which employs superheroes to fight evil. Saitama... An unassociated hero hails from City Z and performs heroic deeds for his own enjoyment. He'd trained himself to the point of being able to defeat any enemy with a single punch, but his unmatched strength has left him with an overwhelming sense of boredom. Saitama eventually becomes a reluctant mentor to Genos, a cyborg seeking revenge against another cyborg who killed his family and destroyed his hometown. Saitama and Genos join the Hero Association, but due to scoring low on the written entry exam, Saitama is placed with a low entry rank, and his feats remain unnoticed and unappreciated by the public. The Hero Association calls all top heroes to a meeting, informing them that the seer... Shibawa? Has a vision of the world in danger. Immediately after the meeting, an alien named Boros invades the planet. The heroes fight the invaders outside Boros' ship, while Saitama boards the ship and fights Boros. Saitama meets the other heroes such as martial artist Bang and Esper Blizzard and King, a hero considered to be the strongest man on Earth. Monsters also begin to appear at a rising rate. Another growing threat is the rogue martial artist Garo, Bang's former apprentice and self-dubbed Hero Hunter, who fights and defeats heroes to grow stronger. The monster influx is revealed to be doing of the Monster Association, an organization composed of monsters intent on destroying the Hero Association. They attack various cities, kidnap a Hero Association's executive child, and recruit fighters for offering them monster cells, which cause humans to mutate into monsters with extraordinary abilities. Throughout all this, Garo bonds with a child who idolizes heroes and seeks out heroes to battle, and greatly improves his fighting skills. Yeah, that's true. No. Seeks out heroes to greatly improve his fighting abilities. The Monster Association attempts to recruit him and kidnaps the child when Garo refuses. Garo enters the Monster Association headquarters in City Z to rescue the child, but is captured. The Hero Association also breaches the headquarters to rescue the executive's child, and a chaotic battle ensues in which City Z is destroyed. The majority of the Monster Association leaders are slain, but many of the heroes, who having grown overconfident in their abilities, are defeated. Garo, having achieved tremendous power, defeats the remaining heroes before Saitama in turn arrives and defeats him. Despite the objections of the other heroes, Saitama spares Garo's life and lets him flee to parts unknown. In the aftermath of the battle, the Heroes Association for performance leads to the public opinion of them plummeting. Several heroes and officials decide to retire or defect to Neo Heroes, a burgeoning rival group that appears to be more effective in handling the growing monster threats with its larger membership and leadership of the hero Blue, who claims to be the son of the long-missing Blast. So that was a lot to throw at you, and I'm so very sorry to just throw that out at everybody, but I needed to get through the plot so I could talk about the show quite a bit. So, to summarize what that means, it's this massive world where everybody has these fun powers, and people are really strong, and they can do these, really amazing things, and they're cyborgs, and Saitama, who's the main character, he is so powerful that he can beat anything he comes up against in a single punch. And it's amazing, some of the bits about this. So the show sounds very like action and adventure and hero-y, and it is. But, let me tell you, the show is extremely funny. It is an action superhero show, but it's also a comedy, and it's one of the funniest animes I think I've ever actually seen. They put so much pressure and emphasis on the hero moments, and they make the tone and the setting perfect for every anime that takes itself so serious, and then it's over in a second, and Saitama just gets annoyed, and it's funny, and they put all this emphasis on these amazing battles and these really cool moments, and then Saitama shows up, one hit, everything's over. And it's extremely funny, and they somehow manage to still create tension and drama in these moments, because there's other characters other than Saitama that you care about, and so their lives are always on the line as well. So we're always on edge, we're worried about people, we're concerned about what's going on, and we don't lose the idea of that intensity and that drama just because he's able to defeat everything in a single hit. But we still keep the comedy, and he still does it. So basically, I think they do very well with the show. It's very pretty and beautiful. It's so well drawn and animated. It's extremely funny, and the plot and all of the heroes are so interesting, and there's sometimes way wilder things than you think there's going to be. So there's these very outrageous monsters, like giant crabs and slime people and gorillas with helmets. That one feels very DC, but still. It's just this really fun and interesting world set around heroes, and Saitama's just stronger than all of them, and it's fun, and it's real interesting. So I recommend everybody go check it out. It's over on Hulu. We're going to go ahead and jump over and talk about our other show. Our show is called My Hero Academia. So My Hero Academia is one of those Shonen Jump mangas where it's young heroes doing whatever they can to become more powerful and grow in this world, and it's action and adventure. And so this one is specifically a story set in modern day, except people with special powers called quirks that become commonplace throughout the world. In a world of chaos and confusion, pro heroes have risen to the new profession of fighting off supervillains. A young boy named Izuku Midoriya is quirkless, meaning he has no powers. But he still dreams of becoming a great hero one day. So another hero world where it's all of these different people. They all have quirks, and so quirks are what their superpowers are called. And so Izuku Midoriya starts out as being this quirkless little guy who's weak. He just stands up for himself, or he stands up for others, and he tries to fight with his bully. And so it's just all of these different things, and it's real fun. I really like Shonen Jump anime, because they're usually really either well drawn or the plots are really deep and intense, and they put a lot of emphasis on the characters and things like that. But this one especially, I think it does a really good job of anybody can become a hero. And so the main guy, Izuku Midoriya, he's also called Deku in the show. He starts out with no powers, nothing, and then he meets this character called All Might. And All Might is basically this world's Superman. He's big, he's the strongest person in the world, he's undefeatable, he always saves people with a smile, and so Izuku looks up to him as a hero figure and as somebody who strives to be. And so the show is based around Izuku trying to become stronger and going to this school where he can go and become a pro hero. And it's so interesting. And so it's him and a bunch of his other classmates all going to this school and learning to be basically heroes. And so it's fun. It's a lot of like action and different people like having weird and fun quirks and having really interesting powers. So there's different types of quirks. You can have an emitter quirk, which gives you the ability to like produce and release substances and things like that. You can have a transformation quirk, a mutated quirk, and so there's a bunch of different things they can do. Some of his classmates are really fun because you have Izuku, who has nothing at first, and then he meets All Might, and All Might passes his powers down to him because All Might believes in Izuku and believes that he is going to be this amazing like hero and guy because he really believes in who Izuku could be. So he gives him his powers, and then he gets into this school, and he has all of these different classmates. So he has Bakugo, who he just has explosives. He sweats nitroglycerin, and so anytime he ignites that, it bursts into flames, and that's really cool. Shoto is one of his classmates as well. They call him, I think it's Icy Hot, because he has ice powers and fire powers, because his dad is the number 2 hero. Can't remember his name right now. It's Endeavor. And so he gets fire powers from his dad and ice powers from his mom. There's this one kid who is just basically a giant raven and one of the most powerful people in the entire show. And then there's Ochaku, who's very interesting. She can basically create gravity, zero gravity. And it's just a very fun and interesting show. So it's a lot of fighting, especially, and a lot of action at all times. Because they're heroes, they live in this world of constant villains and people being attacked. And the show doesn't hold back either from being dark. Like, people will die, and there are consequences for things that happen in the show. But it's still interesting, and it's still fun to go in and watch, because I love shows that do that, where they have consequences, and they set up that things have stakes, and people will die, and that's always fun, especially with something that's going to continue on in that fashion. In these heroes, some of the things that they do, and some of the villains that is in this show, that are in this show, are so intriguing. There's a guy who has decay powers, where every time he touches something, it literally withers away before his eyes. There's Kurogiri, who can create portals. And then one man just looks like a stitched together face, and it's terrifying. And oh my goodness, is it scary to think about. There's also some people's quirks are just being connected to animals. So, like, one of his classmates is a frog girl, and then we later on meet a seal captain, so that's fun. And then one of the characters from Fairy Tail Gray, the voice actor for the dub of Gray in that plays a character in this as well. There's actually quite a few crossover characters from that show into this one. But, like I said, highly recommended show to go check it out. You can go watch it over on Hulu if you'd like. So, just summarize basically segment 2. We talked about One Punch Man, which is this action comedy show. It talks about heroes living in a world where, once again, everybody's a hero basically, and they're all trying to stop villains. And then My Hero Academia is a very similar concept where everybody's a hero in this world, and they all have quirks, and people are just trying to rise to the top and become really powerful people so they can help people and save the world. Some people do it for good, others do it for not so good reasons. So it's give and take, basically, but it's still really enjoyable and recommended to go check out. You can go watch both of them over on Hulu with subs and dubs of each. So if you really wanted to go look, you can go check out the first couple seasons of that. My Hero is still running frequently. One Punch Man, I think it's into like season 3 or 4 now? I have no idea. I'm going to look into that later, but once again, go check them out. We are getting ready to go into that break. I hope everybody sticks around, and if you do, we're going to talk about a bop to a flop. We're going to do Once Upon a Time. And be sure you stick around. For the end of the show, we're going to talk about 2 shows we already talked about before, and then a new one that's pretty fun that season 3 is about to come out, so you can go watch it if you'd like. Alright, get ready for that break, and I'll see you when we get back. Bye, everyone.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello everybody and welcome back from that break. Let's go ahead and jump into segment 3. It's bop to a flop time. Let's do Once Upon a Time. So this was in a fantasy adventure series. I guess it was also kind of a drama where basically it's this fictional seaside town of Storybrooke, Maine, where the residents are all fairy tale characters that have been brought to the real world. They've had all of their memories wiped clean by the evil queen, who in this world is called Regina, and there's also Rumpelstiltskin, and then I think it's all these different people have like children now, and so Snow White and Prince Charming have a daughter named Emma Swan, and so she was actually not a part of the curse. She got sent outside of that. Outside of the curse, when everybody got brought here and had their memories taken from them. So she actually never endured it, but everyone else stayed the exact same age while she grew up. And so, it's pretty interesting to think about this show. I used to really like it. I used to watch it the first couple of seasons because it was out on Netflix. I think it's still out on Netflix actually, but, yeah, it's still out on Netflix. I never actually finished it because it started getting a little weird, and we'll talk about why exactly this is a bop to a flop. But I'm going to read you out the season description one by one. I'm on a website that's going to tell me. So the first season premiered October 23rd in 2011. The evil queen interrupts the wedding of Snow White and Prince Charming to announce that she will cast a curse on everyone that will leave her the only happy ending, as a result, a majority of the characters are transported to the town of Storybrooke, Maine, where most of them have been stripped of their original memories and identities as fairy tale characters. On her 28th birthday, Emma Swan, the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming, is brought to Storybrooke by her biological son Henry Mills in the hopes of breaking the curse cast by his adoptive mother, the evil queen Regina Mills. So, let me break that down. We'll talk about it a lot slower. Emma Swan is the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming. So they have a daughter, and just as the evil queen's about to cast the curse, they kick her out of the area through, I think they use a magical wardrobe. And so she gets to live out her life 28 years while everyone else has been trapped in time here. But she has a son in that 28 years, Henry Mills, who gets adopted by the evil queen Regina in the new world, in the new curse world. And so Henry goes out to look for his mom because he doesn't like his adoptive mom. Henry knows about Storybrooke because he has a little book that tells him about all of it. And he puts it all together because he's a smart kid and he knows that he's the son of the evil queen. So he goes to find his real mom to bring her here to solve the curse and fix it. Of course, nobody believes him at first, and then Emma sticks around because she's like, well, this is my kid. I want to get to know him. And she ends up finding her parents, which has been a really big deal for her throughout her life because she grew up without parents because of the thing that happened. So she's quite upset at the idea about not having parents. So it's quite interesting. We'll move on to Season 2. The second season premiered September 30th, 2012. And despite Emma having broken the curse, which she does, the characters are not returned to the fairy tale world and must deal with their own dual identities. With the introduction of magic into Storybrooke, Mr. Gold, who is Rumpelstiltskin, the fate of two worlds become intertwined and new threats emerge in the form of Captain Hook and Regina's mother, Cora, also known as the Queen of Hearts, and sinister operatives from the real world with an agenda to destroy magic. So, she breaks the curse, but instead of everybody going back to the fairy tale world and restarting life exactly as they would, they all keep living in Storybrooke, but they all have their original memories back. So they have these two worlds. There's one that's real, which is the story one, where they have all of this history and build-up, but then they have the fake lives that they're stuck in and that they've been living for 28 years now. So they're like stuck in between these two places trying to figure out which one they want to be, and there's a lot of drama around Snow White and Prince Charming because they get broken up and back together again multiple times because they didn't have their memories, and then they did, and then they didn't, so it was a lot of back and forth. Mr. Gold falls in love with Belle because in this world, Belle and Beauty and the Beast is Rumpelstiltskin, and it's real pretty. They're my favorite relationship. We'll talk about Season 3. Third season premiered September 29th, 2013. It was split into 2 volumes. The first 11 episodes running from September to December of 2013, and the later half running from March to May of 2014. In the first volume, the main characters travel to the Netherland to rescue Henry, who has been kidnapped by Peter Pan, as part of a plan to obtain the heart of the truest believer. The increasing power struggle with Pan continues in Storybrooke, which ultimately results in a complex reversal of the original curse. All the characters have returned to their original worlds, leaving Emma and Henry to escape to New York. In the second volume, the characters are mysteriously brought back to a recreated Storybrooke, with their memories of the previous year removed. And the envious Wicked Witch of the West from the Land of Oz appears with a plan to change the past. Once again, Emma is needed to save her family. So, that's a lot to think about. Let me basically give it to you like this, okay? Peter Pan is Rumpelstiltskin's dad. Rumpelstiltskin has a son. That son is Henry's dad. Henry is Emma's son. So, Emma and Rumpelstiltskin's son have Henry, and Peter Pan has Rumpelstiltskin. There's a lot behind that. There is so much behind that. And the idea that all of these characters are intertwined in new and interesting ways is usually done in such a fun and cool way. And in this next season, Season 4, is where I checked out. I wasn't even that into Season 3 because the Wicked Witch of the West shows up and she just basically resets everybody to the beginning of Season 3. And it's like, oh great, now we have the same conflicts at the end of 2. Great. And everything goes back to being weird. And then it gets even worse because now people can start losing their memories. The 4th season premiered on September 28th, 2014, and it was also split into 2 volumes. The first 11 episodes running from September to December, the later half March to May as well, a new storyline incorporating elements from Frozen, which was revealed when time travel elements from the previous season led to the accidental arrival of Queen Elsa of Arendelle from the enchanted forest of the past to present-day Storybrooke. As she searches for her younger sister, Princess Anna, with the aid of the main characters, they encounter the Snow Queen, Meanwhile, Regina seeks the author of Henry's Once Upon a Time book so that she can finally have her happy ending. However, later on, a banished Mr. Gold returns with the help of Cruella de Vil in Maleficent and Ursula, with her own plan to rewrite the rules governing the fates of all heroes and villains. Henry and Emma race to restore reality and the truth before the twisted inversion becomes permanent. This is where I checked out. That was a lot of information, and I want you to know it's a lot of information in the movie, or in the show as well. It comes at you like a rush. Because 1 minute you're like, okay, we went from Peter Pan and Captain Hook to the Land of Oz and the Wizard of Oz, and then we jumped to Frozen, and I want you to know their outfits are just outrageous. They're perfect. They match the movie amazingly, but boy are they campy, like, outfits. And they've always kind of had campy outfits throughout the show, but these are the most, like, standoutish. And then the fact that the Snow Queen arrives, and then Mr. Gold returns with... So we got Rumpelstiltskin comes back with Cruella de Vil, Maleficent, and Ursula. And they're just wrecking havoc, and so... I checked out as soon as I saw Frozen. Not because I don't like Frozen, because that's a really good movie, and I've heard the second one is amazing. My mom really likes the second one, but I was not into it. I don't like how they did it on screen. But I might actually... I think this show's being taken off Netflix soon. But as for right now, I might go back and watch Season 5. Let me read out the description for you. You might understand why. The 5th season was announced on May 7th, 2015 and premiered September 27th, 2015. It once again split into 2 volumes, the first running from September to December and the second March to May. The characters embark on a quest to Camelot to find Sorcerer Merlin in order to free Emma from the powers of the ancient darkness that threatens to destroy everything. To complicate matters, King Arthur is determined to forever alter the balance between light and darkness using the legendary Excalibur and the help of vengeful Zelena, and the history and destiny collide. Hook's death makes Emma lead a rescue party to the underworld in order to bring him back. During their mission, they encounter the souls of the unfinished business and must face Hades. In an attempt to restore order to the chaos that is culminated, the character's dangerous manipulations of magic lead to the... what does that say? Exacerbation of war between light and darkness, and the separation of Regina and her evil queen persona, as well as the arrival of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay, things are going intense. Everything's just getting rough. I really liked the Merlin plot in that, and so I really liked the idea of bringing them into this, and I guess King Arthur's a bad guy in this one, because he wants to help vengeful Zelena, and Zelena's bad because I think Zelena is the Wicked Witch of the West, I believe. Yes, maybe. And then they just throw Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at you, who I guess I never considered fairy tale material, like never figured they'd be thrown in there, but I guess I didn't exactly consider modern day Frozen to be tossed in there either. Let's just go ahead and read Season 6. The 6th season was announced March 3rd, 2016, and premiered September 25th, 2016. The characters must defend Storybrooke from the combined threat of Mr. Hyde and an unleashed evil queen. They also must deal with the new people from the land of the untold stories. Oh my goodness. As well as dealing with their own forgotten tales, and the mysterious fate of saviors leads to Emma learning about the savior before her, Aladdin. What? Okay, the ongoing war between light and darkness ultimately leads to the arrival of the creator of the Dark Curse, the Black Fairy, as well as the final battle that was prophesized before the casting of the original curse. So this seems like the culmination of everything. This is the build-up, the perfect ending, the fight for the black, or for the fight against the Black Fairy, for the Dark Curse, the prophesized battle, Emma becoming the one true savior, and then there's a Season 7. So in May of 2017, the series was renewed for a 7th and final season consisting of 22 episodes. Okay? Well, it was marked as a soft reboot. Years later, after the final battle, Lucy arrives in the fictional neighborhood of Hyperion Heights in Seattle, Washington, where her once-upon-a-time book finds her father, Henry Mills, who is needed by his family. Henry, along with the characters of the New Enchanted Forest, were brought to the Hyperion Heights under a new curse and caught in a rising conflict involving Cinderella and Lady Tremaine, whose dangerous history with Mother Gothel is revealed, as well as the agendas of Dr. Facilier. Lucy must try to break the new curse and free her parents with the help of the now-cursed Regina, Wish Realm Hook, Rumpelstiltskin, and Zelena. The two worlds collide with the arrival of the Wish Realm Rumpelstiltskin, Wish Henry Mills, as they plot and culminate on every character's happy endings by separating them into separate realms into their own separate storybooks, leading to someone having to make the ultimate sacrifice. Wow. That was a lot. So, this show started off really, really well. People really liked it. They got, rank 18 out of the top, TV air ranks. And their first season aired with 11.71 million viewers, which is quite a bit. And every single season, except for 5, has had 22 episodes. And when they first started, they were getting amazing rank, and they got 28 on the viewer rank. And season 7, they had 3.41 million viewers. They fell down with 120 in the viewer rank. And so the show really started off strong with this amazing concept of fairy tale characters and this really fun setting with having somebody come back into this world who has nothing of it so we can learn. That can be the Phil character so that we can have everything explained to us. And we really just get to see all of our favorite fairy tale characters come to life in this new series and really enjoy it, but it just fell flat towards the end. And as you could tell with a lot of the plots, they became so overlapped and so outrageous that you just check out and you don't finish it. And so I feel like that's what quite a lot of people did with this show. I know that's what I did, and most people I've talked to felt the exact same way about this. So if you want, you can go check out the show over on Netflix. I really recommend the first couple of seasons, and if you can get past the Frozen stuff where it gets a bit too outrageous for me, and the Cruella de Vil and the Maleficent and Ursula stuff, I recommend it, because I think I'm going to go check out the Merlin bits and the King Arthur ones, because that seems real fun, because I'm really into that, and King Arthur and Camelot. I brought up that TV show Cursed the other day. That was a really fun show, and I'm excited to watch more of it. But we are going to get ready to go into our break, so I hope everybody sticks around for our final segment. I'm going to talk about Lock and Key again, because that second season's going to be starting filming soon, so I wanted to talk about it. I want to talk about Lovecraft Country again, because it's too good of a show not to talk about again. And then we're going to talk about AP Bio, which I just want to talk about it and bring it up, and it's just... We're going to talk about it, okay? So let's go ahead, let's jump back into it, and I'll see you after the break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hello everybody and welcome back from that break. Let's go ahead and dive into our final segment. So first off, we're going to talk about AP Bio. AP Bio is this comedy television series created by Mike O'Brien. It was originally on NBC, and Mike O'Brien, he worked on Saturday Night Live, and so he's pretty funny. The show, let's just talk about it, basically. So it's when disgraced Harvard philosophy professor Jack Carson Griffin, played by Glenn Howerton, you probably know Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, loses out on his dream job to his rival Miles Leonard. He is forced to return to Toledo, Ohio, and work as an advanced placement biology teacher at the fictional Whitlock High School. Jack makes it clear to his class that he will not be teaching any biology. Realizing that he is in a room full of honor roll students at his disposal, Jack decides to use them for his own benefit, getting revenge on Miles. Eager to prove he is still king of the castle, Principal Durbin, who's played by Patton Oswalt, struggles to keep Griffin under control. In its second season, Jack uses his students to find out how the people of Toledo find happiness in their daily routine, so as to mine information for what he believes will be his best-selling book. So, like it said, it's Jack Carson Griffin. You call him Jack Griffin. Mr. Griffin is what a lot of the kids refer to him as. It's Glenn Howerton playing this really absurd, really crazy character who's a disgraced Harvard philosophy professor. He was working there, and it turns out that he was just really rude and mean to everybody. And his competitor, Miles, is this, like, really nice stand-up guy. He, like, donates to charity. He has awards and things like that. So Jack Griffin is kind of like... While he's our protagonist, he's not a hero. He's really bad person. He does all of these angry, terrible things to people. But the comedy really hits, and it's a really fun and interesting show to just kick back and watch and enjoy. But it's coming out with its third season soon, September 3rd, I think. Oh no, it hasn't come out yet, has it? Oh, it might. I think it came out on Peacock. So. It got canceled after season 2. People really weren't liking it, but it got picked up by a new streaming service called Peacock for season 3. And so it's really interesting that shows like this get passed around quite often. What do I say about it? How can I describe the show anymore? It's basically Jack and his antics with the kids in his class, because it's these outrageous stereotypes of children as well, and the redheaded kid who's in every Nickelodeon show you've ever seen is in it, and it's just all of these characters. Some of them really want to learn AP Bio, some of them don't. Some of the characters disappear and don't come back, and so it's basically Jack using these characters and using everyone around him in Toledo, Ohio, because he thinks that he's this really smart, amazing person who everybody should bow down to and obey, and he's like got this really high God complex, and it's really intense and funny for the show, and it sets up a lot of drama and stake between him and the characters, and of course he grows throughout the show, and so, like, season 1 is all about getting back at his arch rival, but season 2 is about him deciding to move on and becoming a best-selling book author about psychology and things like that. And so he makes the students try to help him try to figure out, why are people happy? What's great about Toledo? How do people continue to live here? Because he thinks it's astounding that anybody could live here happily. So he makes his kids, like, go out and do all these weird shenanigans, and in the first season, they did this really weird bit where he makes one student catfish Miles, his archenemy, by pretending to be his son, and it's really intense, and it sets up a very outrageous scenario where, really wouldn't happen, too often in real life, but it's still something that does happen in the show. And it's real sad when it happens. But still, it's a real fun show. I don't know if the other episodes are over on over on Hulu anymore, or if it's just on Peacock now. I think it might just be on Peacock and NBC now. Yeah, but I don't think it's on Hulu. But still, really fun show. If you do have that streaming service, I recommend you go check it out and just have fun with it. Now let's move on and let's talk about Lock and Key again, because Season 2 just got not announced, but we know it's happening, and we got the release date. And so I want to look at this article about what's on Netflix. And so let's talk about it. If you remember what Lock and Key is, it was this like really fun like mystery action adventure show where these keys could do all these like mystical powers and cool things, and it's all based off of a comic book of the same name. And so it got renewed, and on March 30th, it was confirmed that the second season would be coming out. And so it's really good to know that it's going to be coming back, because I really liked it. I really liked watching it with my girlfriend. And, of course, all of their filming dates were pushed back. They were originally supposed to start filming on August 17th, but, of course, with everything going on, it's been pushed much farther back. They're now going to begin production on September 21st. They're going to do their best. And now, it was originally supposed to end around February 5th, but now it's going to run through to March 5th. So they added on a full another month, plus a couple more days. And it's going to be real fun and interesting. That's going to be definitely when they're going to be finished filming, but the release date isn't exactly set yet, but some people think that it'll be released either early 2020 or like late 2021. So we'll see it finished, and then it'll come out a couple months later. But very interesting show that I've talked about before, with all of these really fun comic book characters. And there's like a ghost key. There's a key that lets you go inside of somebody's head, and so it's real cool. There's also a key that if you put it in a door and turn the lock, it can take you to wherever you want to go. And so one of the villains gets a hold of this key, and she just jumps from place to place. Like, she's like, alright, I'm going to eat here. She's like, I'm going to go use the restroom, and then just teleports to Cabo. Or one of the main characters is a little kid who gets his hands on it. He immediately goes to an ice cream shop, gets an ice cream, and then he goes, hang on a second, I want to try something, and just walks out the front door and reappears back in his house. And so it's pretty funny. It's real interesting, and so it's definitely something that I recommend people go check out, give it a look. If you really want to go and figure out about it, you definitely can. So that's over on Netflix, remember, Lock and Key, so I absolutely recommend people go check that out. Let's go ahead and jump over to another show we've already talked about called Lovecraft Country. Now, this is that drama supernatural horror show that is basically talking about Lovecraft horror and all of the like abyssal things, and so it's becoming more of like a really like horrifying and like dark show about black people having to live in the early days, or like in the 1920s? Which era are they in? 1950s Jim Crow era of America. And so it's just this really intense show with a lot of references and great action and drama. And so I just wanted to read out the first episode again, and I wanted to talk about some of the new episodes that have come out, because they are just so good and so interesting, and I'm really into watching this new show. So I'm going to read out each episode that's happened so far. This is spoilers for Lovecraft Country, so if you have not seen it, I recommend that you go watch, come back to the podcast at any time so that you can come and just hear about it. But we are going to have some spoilers moving forward, so one of them's pretty intense, so just be aware. After arriving in Chicago in the Korean War, veteran Atticus Freeman discovers a letter from his missing father, Montrose, inviting him to discover his family legacy in Ardham, Massachusetts. Atticus, who goes by Tick, his uncle George, who writes the Green Book-style Black Travel Guide, and his friend Letty set off on a road trip. So Uncle George writes travel guides for black people in this era to be able to go around safely and avoid sundown towns in places where they can't be because somebody will come and kill them. So it's a very dark reality, but that's something that happened back then. And so the fact that African American people had to go through that here in America is very intense, and it has one of the most dramatic scenes I've ever seen in like TV cinema, where a cop pulls him over and talks about how this is a sundown county, and if he sees them after sunset, well, things are gonna go bad. And so he pulls them over and he's like, it's 15 minutes to sunset and the county line is 16 minutes away. And so he lets him get in the car and go off if Tick, like, begs him to. And so it's this really, like, powerful and painful moment to watch, and it feels so uncomfortable, and the tension and fear is so high. And then they get in the car and start driving away, and it's a slow chase, because if they go any mile over the speed limit at all, he will immediately pull them over and they'll never make it. But he never lets up. He sits on their tailgate and follows them every single inch of the way, and they're driving maybe 15, 20 miles per hour slowly down this road as the car is just trailing them, hunting them down. And so they're living in fear, they're panicking about what's going down. And then they cross the county line, they think they're safe, everything's great, and then they immediately get caught by police on that side. So it's such tension created by the show, but I'm gonna finish reading off the description. So, a group of murderous white men chase them out of the first town they stop in, but they escape thanks to the intervention of an unknown white woman, who somehow causes the mob's car to flip over. Soon after, they encounter the county sheriff, who is eager to enforce a sundown law. Just after sunset, the sheriff's deputy forced the travelers into the woods with the intent to lynch them, but the entire group is attacked by vicious monsters, possibly Shoggoths, although it's not clear. Atticus, George, and Letty fight their way out while the police officers perish. In the morning, the trio stumbles out of the woods to find an enormous mansion where they are welcomed by a mysterious white man named William, who greets them warmly. So, Shoggoths are a type of Lovecraft monster with dozens of eyes on them. Very scary, very terrifying. It's treated in this as if they were kind of like big guard dogs. And so we have this terrifying contrast of being dragged out into the woods where you know you're going to die at the hands of these men, and then monsters show up, and now you have to live in fear of monsters attacking you and defeating you and killing you. And so it's this horrible, painful contrast between which one is the bigger monster. And they treat these things as guard dogs, but also as kind of like vampires. That's why it's The Sundown is the first episode, or is the first title of the first episode, because the monsters can't come out until the sun goes down. They're affected by light, and so if you get bit, you turn into one as well. So they follow Dracula vampire rules while also being this Lovecraftian creature that's also sort of a guard dog that can be tamed and controlled by magic. And the show is just so good. Some of the other episodes get a lot weirder. So, like, number 2 is them going inside that mansion and finding out about these powerful descendants and all these, like, magic running through people's blood. And we find out that Atticus, or Tick, is a much more important person than we think he is. But is he really? Because it's just a bloodline descendant. They meet this woman named Christina, who is the woman who flipped the mob's car earlier. And so she's the daughter of Samuel, who's this guy who's in charge of this lodge they find. And it turns out that he's a part of a secret magic cult. And then episode 3 is about Letty buying this new house. And in this Victorian mansion she brings a bunch of people to come and stay with her, but they have to deal with being in a neighborhood where people don't want them, and so they have to deal with constant honking on horns. Somebody burns a cross in their front yard, and it's this terrifying thing of their house is actually under the influence of a poltergeist while all that's going on, so they're having to deal with violence outside and ghosts haunting them on the inside. It's terrifying, and it's amazing how well this show does. So I think everybody should go check it out. Once again, Lovecraft Country, you can go watch it over on HBO now. This does bring us to a close for our podcast today. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope you all had a great time listening. Thank you again for listening to the GSMC Television Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show, leave us a nice review, it really helps out, and if you can please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thank you all, and have a good night. Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.